Hello, welcome. Just loading the route in the background. Well, actually, not yet, because if I switch over, you can see, look at the thumbnail for the route. From all the way back then, when this was the very first and only baseboard of the route. Ah, that was a while ago. Hello, Kango Fango. How are you? Hello, Trainz. I'm great, thank you. Oh, thank, comma, you? I mean, if you want to thank me for asking how you were, then yes, you can thank me. But otherwise, I don't know. Depends on you who you want to be thanking. Let's increase that a little bit again. The shadows are off, so... Right, the last time we built this area. So basically this strip going from here down through this bit and then all the way to the back here. I really like how this is turning out. And also along here, these shrubs. Actually, I want to see if there are alligator assets. Is that not? Oh yes, of course, the double L. One moment. I thought I'd pressed it twice. Apparently I had not. Alligator juniper. Interesting. Not quite what I'm looking for. Search for croc, it'll probably find the crocodile locomotive. Thanks. Knock knock. Oh. What is there? Yeah, the alligator. The croc locomotives. Kango! Great, Kango who? Oh, good old Magandhi assets. I remember this from ages ago. Or something similar to that. Ah, these are the ones I wanted. Kango Fango! Tongue out of mouth. Right, now these may or may not take a while to download. So let's just do that in the background. Bum 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 ba-dum bum. Oh, was that the right one? No, I didn't mean that one. I meant to start this one. Bum 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 ba-dum bum. Oh, there actually are crocodiles. Wow. Wow, you've built a lot last time. Guess I was a tad distracted at the time. Oh, yes, you were probably. Okay. So, next time. No, this is next time on whatever. So, might be good having a road coming down along the side here. Kind of leads along there, maybe joins up here or something. Heh. Ha. Because I want this bit to be fields. So let's have the road branch off there. Kind of go back here. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. Kind of coming along this way, maybe a bit closer. And then kind of just going along that way. And maybe... Not sure if I want to go all the way up to the road. Maybe it'll be okay if it just goes back there to give access to some fields down here. Maybe I can have a little shack there or something. Bum ba ra ra rum. Ba ra 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 rum. Bum 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 ba rum. Let's see, have they finished? No, they have not. Oh, I need to check something. One moment. One moment. Be there. Be with you shortly. Need to quickly double check something. Bum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum. Is that right? One moment. I'll be with you shortly. I need to quickly check on Discord to make sure that... Oh yes, of course. Right, so now back to building. As you can see, I want to have the 4-track main line coming along here. And then we'll put the 7 highway bridges over this bit. And that's where the terminus will go. So we'll have the junction facing that way, coming out of the gold mine, and then going over into the refinery area, which should be over there. So let's get to working on that a bit. Okay, right, so... Oh, come on, you're not playing along? Okay. Aww. I was hoping that... Ah, there we go! We can't see the game! There we go, now you're playing along. Thank you. You were too clever. You realized. I did play along, yeah, but that's just it. You were playing along. It wasn't genuine. Ahem. Ooh, this is a nice one. Haven't used this one a lot. Let's make sure that this one's a non-payware one. Just one moment. It's not good. Well, it is a non-payware one, so it's good. I was half sure I was being genuine. Okay, good. I'd hoped you'd be distracted by not seeing the game and me talking, that you wouldn't actually listen to what I was saying. Because then I could say, ah, well, I was talking all sorts of rubbish, so you should have known that it was a joke. But actually you did know that it was a joke, so that kind of worked in your favor a bit. Okay, now how far do I want this to go? That's actually a little bit too far. I want this field to end kind of there. Guess so. How's your OMSI map coming along, Kango? Oh! He says. Quite well, quite well. Good. Been doing quite a lot of detail work lately. Oh, I had no idea that that was a town on your map. Oh, sorry, not in lately, but just lately. Oh, right, that makes sense. Maybe not all too visible from the road, but good nonetheless. Ah, yes. Making fields around that look good from above. Thank you for the interest. Oh, I'm not paying you interest. I just think that what you're working on is interesting. I've also worked on the National today, shaping some edges manually. XD, try this. Yeah, XD indeed. Duh. Right. Feels looking good. Maybe one more of this golden looking one. PBR farm field. Or do I prefer this looking more meadowy? I don't know. Do I? Actually no, I prefer it with the field. Sharpening, not sharping, I meant. Okay. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Do you know what kinisuku means in English? Please tell me. It's Japanese, but that's not the answer. Please, tell me. I like it. Ah. But what's the answer? Please tell me. Nah. That's interesting. Okay, that's another field. Yes, I do like the way this looks. With the green and the golden back there. We've got the nature of the swampland down here. And then goes up to the grass with the road and then cross over to the farmland. Very interesting transition. I like it. XD. Okay, now let's add a little bit of the grass blind along here. Then let's get our trees. No, not trains. Trees. Okay. And if I add too many in this step, I can just delete a few at random. Which I think I'm going to have to do. Because if I look at it from the side, that looks like a whole lot of trees. Too many trees for that little bit. Something like that is better, I feel. And then maybe using the darker texture underneath. Let's try that as well. Yes, that looks good. Then let's save and then put the texture underneath the dirt road. When I was working on my fictional Japanese Tiers 19 map, I was making up station names that sound Japanese, as you do, and came up with Kimisuku. That didn't translate to anything, so I played around a little bit and came up with Kinisuku, which means that. Looks great. Ah. Yeah, I think I remember that story. Okay. Up to there. That's a bit too much. I preferred it. Well, it's a little too little. But like that, maybe. Does that look better? Is that a bit too much dirt? Might be a bit too much. No, actually, I think I prefer it with. Do I? I think I do. Not entirely sure now at the moment, actually. Let's see if I can do that. I think it looks good up to here. Maybe a little bit further, but then down there I prefer it without. Maybe just up to there-ish. And then down here without. I think I do like that better. I don't know why. I just think it looks better. Going on a sleigh ride, are we? No, not yet anyway. And then over in this one we can have a meadow. A meadow. Bit too much. Like that maybe. Now what do I want to do for the edge? Because I maybe I should just do the same edge I've done over here, which is basically just this backdrop with a few trees in the middle. I don't know. But then again over here it's a bit too close for that, I think, maybe. I mean, I might be able to pull this up to there. Sure it is. Are the roads and fields in the US generally this curvy? Well, this road is coming up a grade, so there we are. And the fields that are not on the... So basically the fields are going to be aligned with the road. Now let's see about making this edge look a bit better. Okay. I placed that one already? I don't think so. No. Okay. Few of these larger 2D assets as well. Great, yes, although with roads I'd say much steeper grades are generally more acceptable than with railroad tracks. Oh. Well, it is quite a steep grade, if you look at that like that. It isn't that shallow. See? If you look at the road like that. Yeah, but cars and trucks would still be able to go up there, no problem. Well, then that's good, because I want them to go up there, no problem. As said, for trains it might pose an issue, but with road vehicles? Well, I'm not saying that it should pose an issue. In fact, I'm quite glad that it isn't posing an issue. It might. Yeah. But you said, as said, for trains, it might pose an issue, but with road vehicles? Question mark. As though with road vehicles it might pose an issue. But I'm glad that it doesn't pose an issue with road vehicles, is what I'm saying. Ah, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'd be fine. I'm not sure what you mean. Bum 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 bum. For trains, a grade like that might pose an issue, but do you really think it's that dramatic of a grade for road vehicles? It's not that dramatic, but then again, I never said that I wanted it to be dramatic. I want it to be an easy climb for road vehicles as well, which is why I laid the road the way that I did. Like, do you know what I mean? That's also too many. Hello, VGR. Just working on some fields. What I meant was that the road would have to be significantly steeper in order to pose an issue for road vehicles. But it's fine. Like, yes, I know that you mean that, but I never said that this road would pose a difficulty for road vehicles, or that it even should. The point of the road being laid the way that it is that it doesn't pose an issue for road vehicles. Then where Kirovets with plow? Probably somewhere in Poland, maybe? Or Russia, perhaps? Oh, no, sorry. In spin tires, of course. Sorry. Although the plow part, maybe not. Okay. I'll need to put a little bit of this darker texture behind here as well, just to make the transition a little bit better. If you're working on the fields, wear the Kirovets with plow. Yeah, like I said, somewhere in Poland, probably. I know what you mean, but I don't have any here. Have these finished downloading? Yes, they have. Mwahaha. Where they are. Where they are today. Let's have a look at them. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I know that having crocodiles in this area means that it is really quite far south. But then again, we've also got sugarcane in the area, so... I think that's good. Sure, I meant that even without the curve in the road, the grade would still be shallow enough for not to pose any issues, but it's alright. True, but you've also got to consider the angle, because the road is already coming in at this angle, so then I would have to have a curve somewhere and then have it come in, and I might as well have a shallow curve to keep speed limits high, and to keep the grade better, even if it's not required. Lovely, huge articulated tractors, he says. Nice eyes on these models. Aww. No, it's not the thumbnail. Well, at least I hope it's not the thumbnail, because if that's the thumbnail, it would mean that it's the high point of what we're going to build today, which I hope that just placing down a couple crocodiles isn't the high point of what we're going to build today. I mean, I could do that. Or I could just keep this as one big field. I think I'm going to keep it as one big field. Which means I'm going to need a fence. Let's try that. Let's have the gate be, let's have it be over here for convenience, so it's on the straight bit. Where do I have a gate? Tor. No, not Tor, not gator. Just a normal gate. Hopefully it has normals, the gate. Now where did I... It was on the straight bit. Yes. Okay, and I want to have a little bit of a muddy texture underneath as well. Just so you can more easily see where the gate is. Just sort of like that, yes. Okay. And I think I also want a few of those single trees that I have over here in the middle of the field. Maybe like that? That one at the back's too close to the back. Maybe like this. I think that's better. Although, do I want those there? Actually not convinced. Let's just add this spline down here by the fence first. A little bit down here as well. Come on, we kind of have to a little bit. Okay. Now, do I like those trees there? They do add a bit, but might add a bit too much is the problem. I think what I might prefer instead is just a little tiny bit of woodland on a hill, perhaps. Maybe just in here, like that. Just a little mound there for some reason. How does that, would that look? If I painted it, it might look a bit better. Yes, I much prefer that. Maybe that's a bit too much paint there. Although, with shadows it would look a bit better. Yes, I do prefer this. It looks a little out of the ordinary if you notice it. What about if you come over the bridge? I think it's okay. Oh, maybe we can place like an old church or something in here. Maybe that's why. Maybe there was a hill here, but when the church was abandoned, they let everything be overgrown here, and now it's like a haunted hill. Nah, it's not. This one maybe. Yes. Maybe even move it into the ground a little bit. Ooh. Yeah, see, because maybe this is the site of the old village. Before it grew together with the town, but something happened here. Maybe it burned down or something. And that's why... Ooh, maybe that could be the reason why the road's curving like that. Maybe it had some fortifications or something. Maybe there's a fort here. And the road's following the boundary of that. Interesting. If I search for fort, what will I find? Oh, SS Fortuna. Fortuna. No. Huh. I mean, that's certainly an interesting bridge. Fourth bridge. Maybe just a dry stone wall. Oh, and if I look for maybe sandbags. Just some old sandbags laying somewhere. One moment. I'll re-chat in a bit. No. That's not what I want. Mr. and Mrs. Harbinger have just finished tea time. Mr. Harbinger blows out the candles. Mrs. Careful, darling, we don't want the smoke alarm to go off. Oh, yes, right, you are. An alarm goes off. Mr. Oh dear, where we are as... Oh dear, there we are as well. I'll go sort that out. Thank you, dear. Mr. Harbinger goes out of the room to acknowledge and cancel the smoke detector alarm. After 2 minutes, he comes back. Mrs. And? Mr. Panic over. Everything's all right. It was only the burglar alarm. Ah, yes. Oh, they artificially made that mound in an effort to bury the old church, but lacked the money to cover it all up. No. The mound was there before. The mound was probably a holy site, or rather a revered site for the people who were in this land before Christianity came, and so Christianity reused the holy sites that were already there, which is what it did in Europe as well. Which is why, incidentally, a lot of the old churches, the really old churches, are either on or near springs, because in the pre-Christian world, springs were often holy sites. And so there was already a place of worship, a place of where temples were built or things, or where people sacrificed items to the gods. Basically a place of worship. And so what Christianity did was to integrate themselves more easily. They went to these places that people already worshipped at and built their churches, sometimes on top of older temples, which is why in the basements of some churches you can find old temple, for example, old pagan Roman temple stuff. So the bridge is from Scotland on the 5 Circle Line. Also, where's the new town church? I have no idea. And town hall, for that matter. And where do the ley lines come into play? The ley lines, I don't know. Sandbag. Bag? What bag? Suddenly here, now gone. Let's try one of these. Yes, I know it's a very, very, very old asset, but we'll see. Stand back. Sandbag? Yes, sandbag. I mean, nah, too small. Let's try that one. Who you calling a sandbag? Certainly not the one who's just spoken or anything. Yeah, is this more like the sort of thing I wanted? And I just wanted to hide some of this in the ground a bit. Can I rotate this as well? No. Roll it. I can't roll it. Just to give little indicators. Maybe not necessarily as sandbags, or maybe a little wall or something. Just to give a little indicator that there once was a fortification here. Just a little bit like that. No, not a Roman fort. The Romans never officially made it to America. Of course they didn't. I mean, the Romans didn't even really know what the the bottom of Africa looked like. Now the Vikings, now they know. They did definitely make it to America first. There's archaeological evidence for it. They made contact with the Inuits and had all sorts of things, but then eventually they came out again and they never really went back and abandoned their colonies there. Now I think we need a few sheep. There's also a theory that the Chinese made it to America before the Vikings did. But as far as I can tell, that's based on more fiction than fact. So there are basically old maps, the credibility of which is a little sketchy at best. And then things like that being taken as fact and then as cornerstones for further research. And then, but it's interesting. It definitely is interesting. I just don't believe it that much. Okay, still need to figure out what to do at this back end here. Might just add another baseboard there and then we'll see. I don't know yet, we'll see. We will see, like I just said. Okay, what to put in this little area? if anything. Probably just a little tiny field. It isn't that big, but you wouldn't waste it. Okay, now I need the different spline. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. It's interesting. Why is that? Oh, that's the TB thing. Oh. I need to take a little bit of that away in that case for it to look good. Eh? Yeah, it's a different spline than I thought it was. No, it's fine. Just a different spline than I thought it was. Yeah, a bit too much there. Just a little bit like that, yes. Well, maybe a little bit of that. That's a bit too much still. Like that. Alright, gotcha. Twitch delay. Haha, Twitch delay. Funny. Okay. We'll probably have some sort of fence around here to stop people from the platform going on there. Probably. I don't know, what sort of barrier would there be on this side? Would there be a wall? Or there might be another entrance, maybe? Maybe. Although this is really a private farm road, so probably not actually. Da, 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 dum. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 dum, dum. Well, we don't really need a fence along that bit. And this bit would really look better if it were split. Maybe that bit as well. Yes. Then we'll just have a fence going along here. Basically just going down to there. Maybe at a construction site somewhere? Maybe. With scaffolding workers and excavators and oak diggers. Will you add grass plants on the baseball diamond? Maybe on the non-dirt areas? I don't think so. I think I prefer it like this. Because the grass plants are a bit too tall for that, I think. Anyway, let's fill in this little area. And I'll just make that look like the area on the left. Very the moment, but sure, what's an idea? Yeah. I prefer it without. Bit too close. Need a few bushes in there. Okay. We need bushes, eh? Whomever should we summon? I don't know. There are legends that speak of an incantation that would summon someone who might be able to help, but those were spells of days long past. I think. Who knows, maybe they'll come back one day, but I don't think that would help much at this point. But if you want to try, you can certainly try. Okay. Do you know some of them? I think one of them was bush, 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 bush. But I'm not sure. You see, I said it now and it didn't do anything. Okay, that's good. Still need to fill in this little area. I'll probably just leave it grass, to be honest. With you, yes. I don't need to fill in every little area. Maybe just a little bit of this texture. Very roughly put in there. Just to make it clear that it is supposed to be like that. I think that's good. Right. Over here, this could be another... well, it could be a meadow. It could be another... another field for growing plants. Let's see. What would this look like roughly? Actually, I prefer this. Okay. Bush, 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 bush. I summon thee, Slavic Eagle. Thy shall be summoned into the fair streams chat. Alakazarsh. Well, it'd be nice, but I doubt it. That feels a little bit too close there. Needs a little bit more of a green strip. Although I don't... That's a bit too far away from this side. Maybe just a tiny little bit there. And back here. Okay. Ah, yes. I think it's bread season currently. That might be why the incantation didn't work. Oh well. Ah ha ha. Yes, I get it. I get it. And then I'll have the same thing over on this side as well. Okay. And over in this little bit, just put a little bit of that grass. Just a little bit like that. Do fields in the US really have shapes like these? Well, you wouldn't waste the space if you had it. If the wetland area begins here, but you can farm this bit, and it's your land that you pay for, then why wouldn't you use it? Especially that brown one, but swamp seems a tad queer to me. It is unusual, but it's just because of the wetland down here. If this was just open space, I'm sure it'll be as rectangular as over here. But I think that's good. Yeah, I just need to do something over here. What to do? Well, since I want this to be the outskirts of the city, it might be good to just have a road go along the edge here. And maybe also a little bit of a road going along the edge here. Not much, just a little bit. And then we can fill these small areas with houses. And getting the equipment to tend to the field down there into that little nook seems like quite the hassle. Well, getting the equipment onto this field to tend with this little nook there doesn't seem that big. It seems harder than to just turn it around this bit. I don't think that feels as unrealistic as you think it is. Okay, so now if we filled that bit up with houses. Yes, that's what I want. So now, copy paste, I summon thee. Just kind of around the place like this. Ish. So it would be vaguely like that. Maybe a little bit of a hill on either side, although maybe not. Let's see what it looks like with increased render distance. Yeah, just sort of like that. And then I think a little bit of a hill could look quite nice here. Not much, just a little bit. That's too little. A little bit more. Sort of like that, yes. this bit raised up a bit as well. Yeah, sort of like that. So, yeah, with the tiny one as well, I'm not sure. Damn it, Jim, I'm at which Chatio's not a US farmonology expert. I agree with Kango on those odd-shaped brownfields. Not every bit of open area is plowed over. US archaeological farmology and field boundary expert. Alright. Hello, Willis. Well, but I like the shape. I like how it gives a bit more of a boundary to the wetland area, which is more natural habitat, and then the farmed area back there, which is the more unnatural habitat. And I like the way that it looks like it's creeping in there. Why, hello there! I would leave those as open fields. I don't know. If I did change it, then it would just kind of merge in with the rest of it. There wouldn't be any real boundary there. Especially getting down to the wetlands area, heavy farm equipment would get bogged down. That is a good point. But still, I don't know. Ooh, maybe if I instead used a little bit of this other grass texture. Yeah, that's what I meant as well. They'd all get stuck in the muck. Well, yes, but then you wouldn't have an opportunity to do spin tires. Yeah. I mean, this is okay as well. I just thought it would be nice if the boundary was a bit more clearly defined. Okay. Now these houses I can place really quite roughly because these are very far away, and the only point is to show, hey, okay, there is town back here. Doesn't have to look right up close. And yes, I do realize all these houses look very, very similar, and there's not a whole lot of variety in architecture, but again, it doesn't have to be that realistic back here. How are you, Willis 1961? Have you had a lot of fog in Florida today? Basically, at this point, what I'm trying to do is just get them off the roads, and that's pretty much it. I mean, if I was working on this map offline as well, then I might put a little bit more time into this. But with how many episodes this route is taking, I really have to start speeding up a bit in some areas, because otherwise it will quite literally take another eternity for it to finish. Yes, another one. Oh, interesting fields in that thing. Oh, the link. One moment. Yes. You get a lot of those sorts of fields in that sort of area. It's probably got something to do with irrigation, I would assume. Architectural variety is what suburban householder residents usually strive for, as far as I know at least. Just a quiet Saturday here. Ah, nice. Ah, Shadis, did you see the link? I did now, yes. I didn't before. That's from the sprinklers to water the fields, yes. Yeah, speeding up might be a good call, otherwise it might just be until Christmas, until the MVR is finished. Ha. What do you mean, like the Christmas after next Christmas? Not this Christmas, I mean after next Christmas. Is that the one you're referring to? Okay, well, from back here it looks okay. Center pivot irrigation. Oh, so is that the term for it? Interesting. I never knew what the term for it was. But it does make sense. Ooh, let's have a look. Interesting. I wonder how far up the... Oh! Oh, I see. So it's like a thing on wheels that goes around and waters it. Ah, interesting. Interesting. Yes. Looks like hundreds of radar monitors displays. It rolls and rotates around the center of the field. Yes. You could also say it pivots around the center of the field. Dun, 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 dun. Quite creepy, this one. Really? Well, yeah, a little bit, yeah. industry. Industry can be quite creepy. Atmosphere-wise, yes. I'll read that in a moment. Or two. Okay. Again, just going for as vague as possible without them literally being on the road. On the road again? No, sorry. Not on the road, yes. Because from all the way back here, that looks fine. Now let's save. Ooh, there was a sound. Hold on. What is the sound? SSO 91100 is coupled up. Hello, SSO. Welcome. Now let's place some trees around here. How are you? I should also have some back there. Right. Thanks, bro. Right. Alright, yes. Alright, I've seen those big wheel sprinklers contraptions before. I think it moves and such. And I did suspect that that's the way they work, but I never actually looked into it or saw them operate. Yeah, I never saw them operate either. Yeah, fine, you? Yes, doing good. Had a fun day today. I had my long tabletop roleplay session, which this time I didn't GM, I didn't run. Someone else ran the game, so I got to enjoy being a player for once. Well, I say for once. The game, it's alternating, so yes, that was fun. Slogan for the next SnowRunner game, if there is to be one. Off the road again. Yes. Or a signature song, I guess. Probably. Okay, now I just want some of those coniferous trees. Just have a tiny little bit more variety in here. Ah, one moment. There we go. Just have to double check something. Okay. Right. That looks a little awkward. Hold on. Better, but not great. Ah, it's because the hill is going down back here. This bit needs to be raised up a little bit more. There we are. Maybe even have another bridge back there. Doesn't need to connect properly, but just just to have it. Okay, that's interesting. Now I just need to bring that down there. Is that going to be too steep? Probably. Maybe if I lowered it from 10 meters to like 5, what would that look like? A bit low. It is a bit low, maybe 7 meters? Seven should be fine. Just to have something back there that kind of breaks it up a little bit. Although it looks a bit weird going down to the road like that. Maybe it would be better if the bridge instead went over the road. Ah, so if it went over like that, and then over the road here as well, and then just straight on. But what about this? So like that's how it connects to the road. I think that might look good. Yes, that looks better. That way it doesn't look as though it's kind of going up and then over and then down. Nice, good to hear you had fun. I did too. Better, bitter, butter, batter. Better, bitter, butter, better. Interesting. Yes. Or if it curved around on the ends, or one end. Either would work. Curved around? Well, yeah, but you're not really supposed to see it from this close. Either would work, yes. Now, the question is, should I have some sort of backdrop there? Maybe. Backdrop. Let's see if I have anything appropriate. Oh. I mean, something like that might work. No. Ha! Do you remember this one? Actually, if I look for Tidewater South, I might be able to find a route. And something like that's clearly a backdrop. Unless maybe I moved it down a bit. Maybe just something like that? No, you can see the edge. Da, 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 da. I don't think that that's going to work. But I do want to have a look at what was it? Tidewater South. Maybe there's a route. Oh, there is a route. At least I think that's a route. Is a route. Interesting. And those are backdrops. Okay. Yeah, sure, nice. Yes, gotta have the backdrop. Oh, that one. Was that from City and Country, you say? I don't think so. Wait, no. What's that route called? With the Amtrak train and the Superliner coaches. Go back to the one with the bridge. Huh. Back to the one with the bridge. Oh, actually, I didn't even start from the beginning. Let's see. Not sure which one exactly. Ooh, maybe this one could work. Actually, I have used this one before on a different map. Actually, if I... Come on. Undo, there we go. If I place two in the same spot and then rotate them out, and then maybe it'll work a bit better. Yeah, something like that works quite nicely, I think. And I need one more over here. Pull that down. Rotate it a bit more. Like that. Let's try this. Yes, that's what I wanted. Just a little bit of dark back there to block that out. That's all I wanted. If I zoom in a bit, then you can see it a bit more clearly. Let's save also. Maybe there's a fittings plan. How would that look if you took out the bridge in front? Hold on. Can't really show you at the moment. If I took out the bridge in front... Come on. I don't know why it won't delete. Ah, there we go. It look a bit like this. Not as good. I prefer it with a bridge. Trainz, remember, it would take a while for it to download. No fast listening ticket, no fast download times at last. Yes. Lovely, I like it. I meant using the backdrop with the bridge instead of having the bridge in front. Oh right. Yeah, well, maybe that could work. But I'm quite happy the way it looks now. Not sure which one that was, I'm afraid. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a quick look. Okay, that's still good. Okay. A little bit back there. Can't remember having seen one with a bridge. Must have missed it. Yeah, I think there was one, but I don't remember exactly which one it was either. I'd have to go back through and look at all of them. Okay, and maybe just having a line of trees. Just gonna go from over here, just along there. Doesn't have to be very dense. Just a few. Just to kind of cap that off as well. Although, I don't like that as much. Do I? No, I don't. I do not like that as much. Maybe if I got rid of them from that point over to there. Maybe like that. So a little bit more open. Yes, that I prefer. So it's clear that there is some sort of boundary there, but it's still quite open. Maybe adding a spline underneath would help. Widen the end towards the forest on the hill. I'll have a look. What do you mean? Oh, you mean of the thing, so that... Yeah, so it goes down like that a little bit. That's a good idea. That is a good idea, thank you. I have kind of this habit of seeing the forests that I've placed as fixed points, as if they are set the way they are, and then the rest of the landscape has to has to fit around them. But no, you're right, this is good. Okay, almost. And I might as well paint a little bit of this underneath here as well. Okay, there we are. That should come a little bit closer, the spline. And by closer I mean a little bit more along here, just a tiny bit, so that looking onto it you can see that it is actually like a boundary there. Yes, I like that. Now what does it look like from over here? Well, yeah, I do need to fill in a little bit of space back there. But then again, none of this area back here is finished, so who knows what I want to put in here. We'll deal with that later. Make it kind of a triangle pointing downwards. Great. Dense woodland detected. Looks more like a natural extension of the forest across the road. Yes, you're right. Yes, I like it a lot. Sure nice, but you know what they say, even fixed points can change. Ha ha ha. Well. That is a little debatable. Look, this area looks almost finished, doesn't it? Almost. We need more stuff in here, in this little bit. And probably also some sort of end or boundary to this. I mean, I could literally just take this spline, bring that along there, and then say, oh wait, I didn't place it. Yes, and then say, oh wait, I didn't place it. No. And then say that that's that. But that looks a little fake, especially like that. So I do need another baseboard over here. So let's do that now. What sort of height was I using here? 10 meters maybe? Ooh, 20 meters, okay. Look at how tiny one baseboard looks. I mean, just look at that. That's a baseboard there. You can see all of this vast landscape. We look over here, and look, that's a baseboard. I'm glad that we had the time we had. Yes. What if you raised the elevation along that tree line between the finished and unfinished area and then sloped back down behind? What do you mean? Between the finished and unfinished area. You mean this thing? Raise that up a little bit, you mean? You mean it's like a little... Maybe not that much. You mean a little bit like that and then... Do you mean a little bit like this, or... View from the other railroad line? So you mean from over here? I don't know what you mean, sorry. Oh, so you mean this edge here, is that what you mean? Is this the thing that you meant that's going along there? For references. And Slovak's entire eagle will fits on it? Yes, unthinkable really. The other side of that. Let's extend past the road, from this side, right? Yes. Oh, this bit. So the hill extends to the added forest. Yes, that line there. Ah, right, then let's just undo all the stuff that I did here temporarily. Yes, undo. So what did you say originally? What if you raised the elevation along that tree line between the finished and unfinished area and then sloped back down behind? Well, we can see what'll happen. Make that an elevated ridgeline. Well, we'll see. Maybe a little bit higher than that. And sloping back down on that side? I'm guessing this would be built for flood control this way, if it's an artificial feature. Or is that too low? That might be a bit too low because this way you can't really see that it's raised up at all. No, not that high. Ha ha ha. Slope down on both sides. No, just the land gently sloping up from the railroad, and then slope down the other side so you don't have to put so much detail on it. Oh, right. So you mean... Oh, so you mean like... Oh, alright, I see what you mean. Well, maybe. I get what you mean now. Yeah, because from here, you really can't see that much back there if I fill in that little gap. If I do have a little bit of a hill here. And over here it's fine as well, it's just, oop, a little bit of lag here, hold on. It's just over on this place. When we're down here looking that way, then, I mean, maybe I can continue it along there. But, yeah, so you don't see the back of the slope, yes. That is a thing that I do quite often. I don't know. I'll revisit this area later when we actually continue working on this bit. But for now I want to continue working over here. Because that bit's not finished anyway, because it'll have to connect all the way to the city. So the other part of the city. So we look at it from the tracks, you don't really see the backside of the slope. Continue it all the way to the edge. You could pretty much leave that back slope empty. Yes. Yes. And that is a trick that I have used plenty of times in the past. It's just I want to continue working in this area now. Because after spending so much time working in that city area, and I was still kind of in that space a little bit, I want to do more countryside work a little bit. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. Okay. Right, I don't have to put a lot of effort into here. Just maybe having this field boundary go along there. Yeah, I could do the same on this area. And I probably will. I just want there to be an actual thickness to this field over here. So I'll probably have this go over there. And then this road carrying straight along. Maybe even more straight along. And then, yes, having a little bit of a hill in there. But I do have to be careful. Well, actually, no, that's so far away you probably wouldn't even see that from there. That's fine. I might just put in a little hill over here. We'll do that. We can sort that out later. Those are the kind of details that I like to revisit later when a route is nearing completion. Or for example, with mountains as well, adding in more tiles so you don't see the backside of baseboards. Oh, is that the... Ooh, that's the wrong texture. Should be this one. Okay. Yes, and then that around there. A little bit of this along this way. Just a little, a little bit more tree along here. A little bit more. Not mortuary, just more tree, yes. Of course. And then I can use the spline. Not that one. Oh, where is it? Back here, this one. Mortuary. Oh gosh. Well. Incidentally, do you know where that came from? The oh gosh. Is that the only off-stream thing you've done on this route, apart from the initial baseboard? Adding the additional baseboards along the sides of the initial Milton Valley? I haven't done that yet. Yeah, and I mean, just looking at it from back here, I think I could pretty much leave that hill as is. It's just a green hill in the distance. I think that's fine. How about from up here? Yeah, there's stuff in the way. Even if you zoom out a little bit, it still looks good. Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I do not know. Oshkosh. Bugosh. God? Gosh? Golly? Jesus? Yeah, gosh came from people who were too afraid to say God because they didn't want to speak the Lord's name in vain. So, there we go. Oshkosh, not Goshkosh. Alright, Oshkosh. Well, yes. Oh, right. Isn't that where that truck manufacturer by the same name's based in? That's Oshkosh, not Goshkosh. Yes. Okay, I think that's good. Right. I think that's quite successful. Oh, and actually, if you look at the time, we've almost used up the 2 hours already. Interesting. Same name, yeah. Oshkosh Bugosh is an American children's apparel company founded in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Ah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that I just wouldn't know. Alright, I see. Okay, so... yes, I'll add another tree in here, just so that another one, just for good measure. Oshkosh Corporation. Got boring looking buildings. I just remember the old TV commercials. Aha, right. So then the commercials really did do their job, if you remember them even after all these years. Assuming that it's a while ago since you say old. Maybe that would look good. Maybe. Maybe even something like this. Yeah. I really like how this area's turned out. So next time we'll continue building this way. I'll add a few baseboards, then probably round off the edge of this little of the town. So maybe having this go off in that direction a little bit, and then go through scenery probably for maybe a couple miles, and then probably have another industry and station at the end. And then probably have it vanish into portals. I don't know what sort of industry I'd want back there yet. Let's see. I mean, so far I've got gravel, which goes from up there to down there. Then I've got logs, which come from up here down there. The planks go from here to around there in that little area. Grain, which is supposed to go up there. Sugar cane, which originally I had intended to go up here as well, but it might be nice having more of that in the yard as well, because that'll allow for more switching. So maybe the sugarcane going down there, and then having the sugar production thing over here, maybe? Who knows? I've also now, of course, got wood chips for maybe paper, for paper mill, so we could have a paper mill back here. Although it might be better if the paper mill was over here or up there, so then more stuff would be shipped up here. And I don't necessarily only have to have one of these assets, I could have multiple. So, industry, sorry. So I could, for example, have a paper mill down here and up there. The railroad could serve multiple customers of the same product. Grain, of course, as well, but grain I've already decided I want to go up here. So along this bit. Because then you've got the farm all the way down here, which then brings grain all the way along here and then up to there. We'll have to see. Clayton Heights. Yes, true, but if I said God, I wouldn't know which one to address. Yahweh, Zeus, Osiris, Jupiter, Saturn, Poseidon, Neptune? Try... Oh, what was she called? The water goddess, I think fresh water. Was it fresh water, salt water? Hold on, the name will come to me in a moment. I know, riveting gameplay. What was her name? I can't remember now. They make most of the heavy-duty airport firefighting vehicles. Oh, I see. And where does oh goodness originate from? It's the same thing with that? I don't know. Trainz looks very picturesque and pretty. Thank you. Hello there, Richard the Wild. Yes, you're just catching the end of the stream. Make it vanish into portholes. Ha. Must be a massive ship. Must be a really enormous ship to have portals big enough for a train to fit through. Yes, exactly. Precisely. Trainz, what about sugar beets? Do you still don't you still have to extend that original main line along the river east and west? So the original main line. Yeah, so basically I've got to extend it up here along the river going this way. Yes, along the river that way. So the main broad valley. I've got to extend over here, which still isn't finished. Going to make this cross over the river, probably go into some portals back there, which is the double track main line that comes from along this way. Then I've got to extend up here where the gravel pit is. This line which goes over here, I've got to extend that way. Not too far, just a little bit. Up to another village, and probably another industry. And then I've got the line that goes along by the lakeside. I've got to extend going this way a bit to a town and a industry, and then going along over here as well to a town and an industry. And then, of course, the one that we're building currently, so going this way. And then over here in the city, I've got to extend this over to a terminus. Ah, yes, beautiful lag. Isn't it marvelous? Hold on, if I turn down the render distance, it should better itself a little bit. One moment. Confirm that, please. Is that better? Yes, that's much better. That is much better. Still not as smooth as I'd like, but that's much better. Anyway, I'll put the camera back over here and then increase the render distance again, because this is so low that for a lot of working, that's not really enough. So yes, next time we'll continue this way. Original. I think that was the plan. Achilles, who was worshipped as the god of fresh water. No, I don't mean that one. I mean the Mesopotamian one, the one whose name has been turned into a dragon from D&D. Hold on. D&D. Dragon Queen. Hold on. Oh, I didn't type it. I missed the U. No, it's just... Oh, maybe Dragon God. Hold on. The one with the many heads. Behemoth, maybe? Hold on one moment. Sumerian god of fresh water. Tiamat, that's the one. Tiamat. Oh, it's salt water. There we go. Tiamat. Yeah, because in the D&D they call it Tiamut, I think. D&D. Tiamat. Oh, or is it Tiamat? Yeah. That's the one I meant. Tiamat. Alright. Didn't see that message as far as I know. They've also manufactured stuff for the army. Trucks and such like. And then we're done for this? I think they started with finding stuff and then expanded into military vehicles. Alright, I wasn't aware. Interesting. Mostly heavy-duty stuff with very powerful engines as far as I know. Leviathan. Ooh, Leviathan. List of Mesopotamian deities. Well, they've got quite a few. Yes, quite a few. As is to Tiamat, eh? Haha, yes. King Ghidorah. Ha! King Ghidorah. No. This doesn't have anything to do with Godzilla. But yeah, probably inspiration from that as well. Anyway, I'll close this now. I don't have to save because I already did the thing. So, with that, and so it passed. The kingdoms were filled with joy, and everyone who deserved to lived a long and happy life ever after. Ever after. No, well, maybe, but who knows. Yeah, that's the end of the stream. Shoutouts. Kango Fango. Streams on Sundays. Tomorrow. OMSI map development, multiplayer truck driving streams, lots of interesting stuff. My game Living Art is available on Steam. It's released. And if you play Trainz, also have a look at Central Europe as well as Cornish Railways on the DLS. What is planned for Monday? Monday is planned to have another train simulator, because I think Slovak Eagle is making another session for me, another scenario. So I'll play that, and then if there's a bit of time, maybe a bit more Planet Coaster, don't know yet. But I do want to get to some other games as well. Maybe a little bit more Civ 6 at some point. I really, really enjoyed that. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. But this Monday is Train Simulator, and then if there's time, maybe a little bit Planet Coaster. Well, thank you very much for another wonderful stream. Aww, thank you for being in chat. And also, oh, what was the name? You know who you were, the one who followed, coupled up. Thank you for being in the stream as well. People without accounts as well. So, yeah. Journey over, all is mended, and it's not just for today, but tomorrow, and extended, ever after. Ever after, yes. Thank you very much for the shout-out and stream. Shadays, all the best and good night. Shadays, how about OMSI 2 for Monday? Yes, at some point I do want to do OMSI 2. B3D is actually going to release a new free bus soon, a Volvo Olympian. Ooh. It'll be interesting to see that bus climbing Mount Olympus. Be very interesting. Interesting that the Greeks, from whom the name Olympian gets derived, would probably see it as what's the word? I keep thinking of the German words for things. Hubris. Would probably see it as hubris to call a machine made by man by the same name as the divine gods of the mountain Olympus. Maybe they'll send a horsefly after it. If you get the reference, then congratulations. And archive viewers, I see you over there. I see you over there. Yes, you. That was SSO 91100 or 00. Yes, indeed. The Optar Olympus is another jar of marmalade altogether. Kango, have you done any more work on your route that you were building, OMSI 2 or Trainz? Ah, good question. Cheers, 19. Oh, do you mean the British one? The one that was based around the Totnes area? Well, inspired by the Totnes area. Yes. Well, I don't know. I'll let Kango answer that question off stream, probably. Oh, well, yeah, there we go. He's answered it. Ah, I've worked on my Japanese one, but not the UK one. I could work on it tomorrow. I haven't done that in a while. It would be very nice. And I would suggest you turn off shadows if you have a little bit of performance issues. I haven't decided what to stream yet. Ah. Well, I did really enjoy you building on that one. I really did. Might be nice doing that again. Anyway, up to you. Just curious how it was coming. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming. And of course, the stream will be archived on YouTube. Bye. Yes. Bye-bye, Roomsbath.